Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Thank you. Hey, don't laugh now.
Because The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It has already come out in theaters, which is now the new 8th film in the Conjuring universe. It's time to stop and rank all 8 films from the worst to the best in the Conjuring franchise. My name is Max. We're about to a brand new movie franchise ranking, and today it's our ranking of the Conjuring universe, including the brand new film, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. For the past week, after I saw the film for the first time, for the past week, every single night I have watched in release date order all of the films in the Conjuring franchise on rewatches. I have made my official ranking, and I can't wait to talk about with you guys. So please, in the comment section down below, guys, let me know your ranking of the Conjuring franchise, including The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Where does it rank for you? We can disagree. It's just my list. You guys make your own list. Let's have a fun discussion in the comment section down below. Also, please like the video. It's the best way to support the channel, and subscribe if you like movie reviews, TV show reviews, streaming platform reviews, movie rankings like these, and a box office breakdown show. Without further ado, let's get into the ranking because we have 8 movies to talk about. So coming in number 8 for me is The Nun. Now, a lot of people do have everyone knows that there's really 4 good to amazing movies in this franchise, and there's kind of a 4 meh to awful range in the franchise. And for me, this is just awful. I really don't like this movie. Didn't like it in theaters, really didn't like it here at home. And it's really because the film is just storyless. We have a father and a young nun who hasn't even taken her vows yet to become an official nun. And this local guy in Romania go to this church to investigate a nun suicide that happened that we saw. And really, the opening scene of this movie is really excellent, actually. It's really the only good thing about the movie is this really intense opening scene with 2 nuns opening the door. One goes in, Valak from The Conjuring 2 comes out, basically kills her, and then to sacrifice herself, one of the other nuns kills themselves, and that opens up the movie. Again, I was really excited for this movie. When I saw the post-credit scene for this movie in Annabelle creation, even at the time, I was so excited to see this movie because, again, Valak was, in my opinion, one of the scary aspects of the entire franchise in The Conjuring 2. I think she's extremely scary, and I was excited to see her backstory in this film. But at times, Valak looks so dumb in this movie, it kind of strains credibility on Conjuring 2 a little bit because of how dumb Valak is in this movie. Now, obviously, this movie, again, it really is storyless. We have a father played by Damien Bashir, who is just a father. He's there. The church wants him to investigate. There's nothing really story-wise other than he had to do this exorcism on this child. It didn't work out. The child died. And this is the child that continues to haunt him throughout the entire film. Other than that, there's no backstory on his character. Vera Farmiga's sister is in the movie, and she is the young nun who hasn't taken any prayers yet. Her backstory is just that. And really, the whole movie is just walk through. We stand in a hallway, we turn, the camera goes somewhere else. Nothing's behind our main character. Then we go back to the character, and then boom, the nun's right behind her. That's kind of the best scares. Again, the movie is very well made. It's beautiful to look at. We're in Romania, actually in Romania, and you can feel that during the movie. But also, there's some dumb decisions, again, made by characters, but really from Valak, our villain, who are here to see the movie. And even though we're here to see Valak, Valak really isn't in the movie that much. We get kind of, you'll see her for a second, then she'll disappear. You don't really get too many long-standing scenes with Valak in the movie. But we realize that the young nun, played by Vera Farmiga's sister, is talking to these other nuns. We learn later that those are all controlled by Valak. But this one nun tells the Vera Farmiga's sister everything you need to know about Valak, how to kill her, how to do all this, where she came from, and how to kill her, more importantly, with what she told her, or how to destroy her, or contain the evil. But we then realized that Valak was the one controlling all of the nuns. So it really was Valak telling our young nun how to destroy her, how to contain her. It really didn't make any sense. And the fact that Valak would be telling our young nun this also just did not work. It really pulled me out of any emotional scene at the end of the movie. It does have a nice enough tie-in to the first Conjuring, where we learn that Frenchie who's in this movie, was actually the one who gave Vera Farmiga's character, Lorraine, that huge nightmare that made her very put off in the first film. That was Frenchie from this film. But still, other than a nice tie into the first Conjuring and a really good opening scene, the rest of the film is just bad jump scares. You're not really scared throughout the entire film. And our villain makes too many dumb decisions and doesn't make it too much of a threat. Coming in number 7, guys, sorry, I had to talk about these movies for a long time. I have not talked about them on the channel. Coming in number 7 is the first Annabelle film. Now, I remember liking this a lot more than I do now when I watched it in theaters. The Annabelle, you get why it's a spinoff from the first Conjuring movie. And we open up this movie very similarly. We get the opening scene basically again of the first Conjuring movie. And this is a year before the first Conjuring movie in chronologically right now. So this is really the first movie before a year before the first Conjuring. And I was really interested to see how much I would like it, more or less on rewatch. And I liked it a lot less. This is, again, not a good movie whatsoever. It has a main character, again, an Annabelle, who looks very cool, just like the nun, who looks very cool. Now, this movie is trying to actually have a story. And that's why it goes on number 7 than it does 8, because 8, the nun, is truly not trying to have a story. And this movie is really trying to give us a story that is so boring, so bland. You don't care about any of the characters. Characters make very dumb decisions that don't allow you to root for them. And at times you're rooting for the villain to destroy our heroes, which is exactly not what you want to do in an Annabelle Conjuring movie at all. There's a main couple with Annabelle Wallis, who is pregnant. She and her husband gives her the Annabelle doll for, as a present for the kid. And that's when kind of everything starts to hit the fan for this family. We learn, based on Annabelle creation, that the real Annabelle does come and almost kills them in the first 20 minutes of the movie. Again, a super dumb decision where the family's sleeping, their neighbors where lights were on, they go off, you hear a scream. And even the husband was like, they wouldn't want us to call the police. We got to go over there just to check. They would want us to check over there before they call the police. Again, a super dumb decision that leads to 2 members of this demonic cult we learn is the original Annabelle, or the lady Janice from Annabelle creation. They come over, try to kill them. They do not. They stab Annabelle Wallis, but does not kill her or the baby. So then they have the child, and it needs, a child's soul. It's basically what the main plot of the movie is. Father Perez, who pops in later in another franchise, which we'll talk about in a bit. He tries to help out. He starts to learn more about the Annabelle doll. Alfre Woodard is in the movie, and she is by far the best character of the entire thing. She has a clear motive. Her and her daughter died in a car accident, and you get why she really wants to help out this family who has a kid and does not want them to lose the kid. So that all makes sense. For me, again, the movie is not very scary at all. Annabelle looks cool, but again, the main story with this pregnant wife who makes continually dumb decisions throughout the entire film, a husband who, of course, is never home for any of these big events where his wife needs her, in a story that it just feels bland. It just feels bland, and that's why Annabelle is number 7. Coming in number 6 is The Curse of La Llorona, which is actually a movie that Warner Brothers has continually said really isn't a part of the Conjuring universe, even though it clearly is when you watch the movie. Even when I was watching all these films again on HBO Max, and when you go to the Conjuring universe collection on HBO Max, where you basically can find all of the Conjuring movies, Curse of La Llorona is on HBO Max, but it is not in the Conjuring universe collection, which again is so interesting. Even though the film has Father Perez back from the first Annabelle film, and they show scenes of the first Annabelle film in this movie. So it doesn't make any sense why they kept trying to promote that this film, and still promoting this film, is not in the Conjuring universe. Still, the film is, once again, not very good. Now, the reason why this is above Annabelle and The Nun is that Linda Cardellini, who I think is a completely underrated actress, is giving it her all, trying to make this character somewhat interesting as the main character. It's clearly the best performance out of these bottom 3 movies have to offer. And she makes the film watchable at times when it certainly is not watchable. Now, again, the movie certainly is not good whatsoever. Again, the folk tale of La Llorona is so interesting that it's still talked about today from all different types of cultures and generations. So again, it's a character that feels very mainstream, but it sadly just didn't really work. Again, the opening scene is very horrifying, very scary for the two kids getting drowned by their mother. But then we just go to average LA. We don't stay in Mexico for the rest of the movie. The opening scene takes place in Mexico, where the folktale originates from. But then once that opening scene ends, the rest of the movie is just in 1970s Los Angeles, where La Llorona does come and try to take over this family. There's one family that she takes over. That makes one mother, Patricia, go insane. And then Linda Cardellini's character steps in, and that becomes a Llorona trying to get rid of their family. As I said, the film mostly is just either exposition scenes where we're trying to be told the folktale of La Llorona and how she's getting involved. And then we're also getting just scenes of walking down a hallway and boo, a jump scare happens. That's kind of the entire movie. I don't know why it's like that. Again, Father Perez is in the movie for a tie-in to Annabelle 1, but even that, his scenes are just to explain to Linda Cardellini's character what is going on. There's one scene, he gets two scenes in the movie. You think the one scene, that's the only scene you'll get at Father Perez, and then she comes back to Father Perez, closing in on the third act. But like, what the hell is going on again? And the film just feels like they're trying to beat you over the head with explaining what is going on, instead of caring about these characters who are victims of Llorona. And that's why it makes the films on this top 4 list much better than the bottom 4 on this list. It's because you care about the victims in the best movies in this franchise. And these bottom 4 films, especially Llorona, you don't care about the family at all, because they're just an average family that's getting victimized by Llorona. Raymond Cruz comes in as a fun priest-like character who really does save the day for this family, even though it does seem like Llorona is not dead yet. There's been no films announced for a sequel to this film. So overall, guys, it's just not a good movie. It has a strong lead performance. Again, just like most of the films in this franchise, 2 really good child performances as well. Her kids are excellent in the film. Raymond Cruz is good in the film. But the story itself is just very boring. You don't care about any of the characters in the film, and the film isn't scary enough. So coming in number 5 is Annabelle Comes Home. And this is the last, bad film, in my opinion, in the franchise that I will talk about here on the channel. Like I said, there's 4 clear good ones and 4 clear bad ones. This is the last of the bad. Annabelle Comes Home is a film that, again, is just not very good. Now, the reason why this, again, is head and shoulders, I think, better than the previous 3 is that the Warrens are actually in the film. This is the only film this is the only spin-off film that Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga have shot new scenes for, are actually in the movie. Obviously, in The Nun, they are in the movie, but those are just scenes from the first Conjuring and the second Conjuring. So these are just new scenes. And the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the movie is actually really good here in Annabelle Comes Home. Not just because the Warrens are in it. Now, obviously, the Warrens are in it. I have a huge smile on my face watching the Warrens on screen whenever they're on screen. But then the story kind of is interesting, with their daughter being left at home with the babysitter. Of course, stuff is going to happen in the Warrens' house. And the fact of Annabelle kind of taking over the Warrens' house is a really good idea. And when it was just the babysitter, played by Madison Iseman, and McKenna Grace's Judy Warren, the film actually is quite good. But then the film for me just gets totally dragged down by this best friend character, who shockingly has the only arc in the entire film. She basically is the one who is so interested in the house that she goes searching through everything, all of their case files, wants to go down the demonic possession room and opens up the Annabelle case. And that's where the movie kind of kicks off. The movie is filled with way too many dumb decisions by one specific character. She's the annoying babysitter's best friend who you've seen in a billion movies before. They do try to give her an arc where her and her dad were in a car accident, and her dad was killed in the accident, and she was the one driving the car. So she blames herself for her father's death. But while this is all happening, it takes way too long in the movie to find out that's why she's been going through all the things in the house. It takes way too long, and she already became a way too annoying character before that. They established that early in the movie, right at the beginning, when she was looking through everything, we're wondering why she was doing this. The film just takes way too long to establish that she's doing this because she feels guilt over her father's death and she wants to see her father again, which again is a good plot, especially in an Annabelle movie, where an Annabelle creation, a group of parents want the Annabelle doll to come to life because they want to see their daughter again. So again, the parallels though work, but the film just doesn't execute it well at all. And this film has some of the worst jump scares in the entire franchise. Basically, the most scared people get in the movie is just there's so many hallway scenes where you see the characters, they turn away, there's no one behind them, they turn back to someone behind them. It happens so many hallway jump scares in the movie. It gets so annoying, especially because the Warrens' house is so huge. They really limit themselves to maybe 2 places where scares happen in the entire movie. There's the demonic, the big room where the Warrens keep all their things, and then this dumb hallway that they keep repeating jump scares from every scene. And the movie is just repetitive. You can see the jump scares coming a mile away. And for Judy Warren to be the main character of the movie, the daughter of the Warrens, who are definitely the most popular parts of this universe, for her to have no character arc, the fact that they don't really establish that after this film that she's involved with the Warrens, and she's just there because she's the Warren's daughter, just does not help the movie at all. So that's why Annabelle comes number 5. Let's talk about some good movies. Coming in number 4 is Annabelle Creation. By far and away, the best spinoff of the Conjuring universe. I remember not really liking this film at first, and now I really like the film. I don't love the film. I think it's an extremely solid made horror film from David F. Sandberg, who later made Shazam. Really well done horror film, and 2 pretty great child performances, especially the main lady who played Janice, who is the one who gets possessed by Annabelle. The story really works. The film is scary, and you feel so much for these 2 main kids. I think Lulu Wilson is the other child actor who's on screen right behind me. These are 2 really great child performances. You care about both characters. And you feel so bad for Janice. I think she has polio in the film. She can barely walk, and she's getting, haunted in the movie. And then she is the one who eventually gets possessed and becomes the Annabelle who attacks that pregnant wife and husband in the first Annabelle movie. It's a pretty heartbreaking story when you think about it. She's really the brightest kid. She gets bullied all the time by she has this really close friend in Lulu Wilson's character. And once she gets haunted and starts figuring stuff out, she's getting terrorized. And then actually Annabelle possesses her, and she becomes the evil, true form of Annabelle for the rest of the franchise. It makes it really heartbreaking when you realize how this story directly connects to the first Annabelle film and the first Conjuring film. It really hits home because of this main character, Janice, who is, my opinion, behind the Warrens, my second favorite character in the entire franchise. She's really great. She's really easy to like, and you feel so bad for her throughout the entire film. The film, again, is horrifying. It isn't too bloody at all. The jump scares do work. And the reason why you're scared is not because, boo, there's a lot of jump scares, because of this young girl getting possessed and trying to take it out on these orphan kids and this nun. So again, it's a really fun movie, a really enjoyable film. Clearly, by far and away, the best sequel in the franchise. Coming in number 3 is the most recent Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, a film that I actually like a lot more than others. Some people think the film is average to fine. I actually think this is a good movie. I really enjoy myself. I actually watched this for the second time last night after seeing it in theaters. This is the first time watching it at home. And the main reason why I like the movie a lot is because the Warrens are front and center. They're one of my favorite horror characters of all time. And the fact that they're front and center really makes the film pop a lot more. And it's because Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are so good in this movie, but also the 2 side characters, the characters playing Arnie Johnson and his wife and his fiance, are also excellent in the film. Again, great performances in the film. I think this is by far, though, the least scariest film in the entire main Conjuring. As this movie really isn't scary at all, other than this really great opening scene where we get the exorcism of David Glatzel, which is really good. But other than that, that's as scary as it will be, because really all the big time scary stuff was already shown in the trailer. So it took a lot out of some scenes. And I get the convenience of how the Warrens find the altar where our main villain is doing stuff. I totally get that. But I still really enjoy it because I cared about the Warrens. The reason why the movie works is that their love triumphs all of the horrifying things in the film. And I thought that was a really beautiful way to do a storytelling. I like that it just wasn't another haunted house film. So that's why the Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It comes in at number 3. Coming in number 2 is The Conjuring 2, which is a film that I also adore. Just like the first one, I adore The Conjuring 2. It's a really good story in London, a totally different Amityville-like story, but again, a really amazing child performance in this film as she is getting possessed by Bob Wilkins, who we realize is really Valak. Is some amazing child acting. And when she's talking and you hear the voice of Bob Wilkins come through her mouth, it's really, really horrifying. There's some really scary scenes in the film. And as I said, Valak, who is supposed to be good in her own movie, is fantastic in The Conjuring 2 in the very limited scene she's in. The scene where Vera Farmiga is Lorraine's looking at the painting, and then you see a shadowy figure come to the painting, and it's Valak holding the picture and running at Lorraine. That, in my opinion, is the scariest scene in the entire Conjuring universe. It's very scary. It's really thrilling because you really feel like Lorraine is in danger. And once you realize that Valak is the one behind all of this, the film even adds more intensity because you know how effective Lorraine is, or how scared Lorraine is of Valak. Also, what helps the film a lot even more intense is that Lorraine has a vision that Ed is killed in this house. And that amplifies all of the tension even more between our Warren family, which is just so amazing. They're so good in the movie once again. This family is excellent, not as good as the family in the first movie, but this child performance is the best part of this family. She is really excellent throughout the entire film. And there's some really actually good twists in terms of possibly her faking this. And is this really a hoax, or is this a real haunted house? All that type of stuff is really excellent. And that moves into the number 1 movie, and that is The Conjuring 1, which in my opinion, these first 2 movies are 2 of the best horror films of the last 10 years. Again, James Wan clearly directed these first 2 films compared to the third one. And what the first one does so much best between the both is that, yes, the Warrens are clearly the main characters of the movie, but they're also supporting characters to the victim. They make you really care about this family. Each member of the family has some scare or some emotional input into the film. When the mom is possessed, it's really horrifying, really intense, seeing her lash out at her kids, trying to kill her own baby. Her relationship with her husband, played by Ron Livingston, is excellent. But then you add the Warrens in there, and we learn that Vera Farmiga had this vision that we learned came from Frenchie from The Nun, how that has really affected her whole life, and that Patrick Wilson's character, Ed, really wants to hold her off from doing too much in this movie. It's such a great dynamic between this one and the second one. Again, in the second one, it's Lorraine being worried of Ed's life. And in this movie, it's Ed being worried for Lorraine's wife. And that's what makes this film really work as well. There's some really good scares. Again, Annabelle is in the movie for parts, and she's really scary, especially that scene with her and the Warren's daughter in the film. That really works really, really well. Some of the visions that Lorraine sees, and seeing it for the first time, is also great because you can see Lorraine seeing stuff. Her psychic stuff is really fun to watch in this movie. I think it's at its best in this movie when she sees that, the hung lady behind Ed when Ed can't see it. The film is just so intense because, Lorraine is so fragile in this movie, and Ed, who hasn't even done an exorcist before, has to perform an exorcism on this family and this woman. So it just makes the film even more intense. So by far, guys, there's 4 great films and there's 4 not so good films in this franchise. But I still would say this is a positive franchise because it has such amazing horror films like the first 2 Conjuring films that it really does make up for awful films like The Nun and Annabelle 1. But that's my ranking of the Conjuring franchise. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, ring the bell, and let me know your thoughts on my ranking. Give me your own ranking in the comment section down below.